Right, so since the weather was so nice and I didn't really want to spend too much time doing the usual strength stuff if I had access to a park and I was also going to play some sports in the same week, I thought that it was finally time to get a good shot at myself trying to get the basics of proper sprinting mechanics in. Running is something that I've always done because I was playing sports for the longest time, but I never really broke the thing down to the basics. It's always been very instinctive, but I also believe that the instinct has a limit, and I don't really feel like instinctively I've ever been a perfect runner. Far from it. Many times I tweak the hamstring, so I feel like I always had a tendency to maybe overstride slightly and put a bit more pressure on the hamstrings than I should have had. So this was basically one of the first attempts at trying to address this in the best way that I can, whilst I'm still learning how it should look and how it best suits my running style. So starting off, it was just some basic exercises. I just wanted to get the body warm. I was thinking to maybe get in some jumping in, so I was doing some side-to-side jumping, some one leg bounding, and then I was getting in some A drills, A skips, switches, just to get neurologically ready for the sprinting start. And what I wanted to do was break the thing down to the smallest component and just focus on this first session on the very first step. So trying to kind of get into a good 2-point starting position, and as I was slowing things down, I will try and go through what my reps looked like and where I can improve given what I know right now, having kind of bathed in the literature and the general knowledge up until now. So right off the bat, I can definitely see that the starting position is not the best. My back leg is a bit too far out, too far back, and I would definitely benefit from having the feet starting to closer together. Then the main thing is low heel recovery. So my leg goes up, the starting leg goes up, and it takes a very long time to get to the floor. So by the time it gets to the floor, even if it's not that much in front of me, the back leg is taking a lot of time to cycle through and propel myself forward. So there are a few basic things that I wasn't aware of when I recorded this, but as I rewatched the video footage over time and had a couple more sessions in, I was able to kind of get into my basic routine, and I think that I'm starting to ingrain now what I should be doing. So this right foot that comes up off first is moving a bit slowly, and I'm not really switching in the air. So what happens is that the foot goes down, hits the floor, and the back leg is still much far behind. So what happens is it just ground contact time is much longer. And although it is good to have a longer contact time within the first few steps, because that's when I am generating power, it also needs to be an efficient ground contact time. So staying grounded on the floor a bit longer than when I reach top velocity, but not so much that I'm actually slowing myself down. So that was for the first set that I recorded. I did a bunch of these, and in the end I decided not to get into jumping because these are actually quite taxing. And so if I was going to be doing a few just to get some volume in and starting to adapt to these new neurological pathways, this kind of relearning the movement with the hope of improving the technique, I decided to just devolve most of the entire lower body part towards these. And in between I was also doing some upper body stuff. So I got my rings, I put them on the tree, and I was doing some tack rows, which are really good. And I was pairing this in the same fashion, in the same idea that I was exposing in the previous video, of pairing a harder exercise for a bit lower reps to a slightly easier, or at least an exercise that I can push for higher repetitions and it's not as demanding intensity wise. So I was getting AMRAP sets on push-ups, a superset onto the pulling work. And this is the second set, and right from the first rep, I'm noticing a much better improvement in the first step at least. The second one ends up being a bit longer and the switching could happen much faster, but at least I am pushing my leg below me. So by the time that it hits the ground, my hip is already past it. Maybe not in this one, but the previous one, I did a much better job. I'm also noticing that there is a bit of, quite a bit of inconsistency in between repetitions, and the following repetitions are not necessarily better than the previous one because I'm not rewatching each of them as I do them. I just do the full set and then I go back and rewatch the whole thing. And another thing that I was also thinking about is focusing on the lower body, but obviously the upper part of the body is very important. So the way that the torso is, maybe it's not hunched forward, but especially the arm position and the way that they swing and they help propelling the body forward. So at some point I will have to also implement some work for the arms that pairs together with technical work that I'm performing on learning of how exactly to pull my leg, pull my hip flexor up and then switch, and be able also, if I'm able to get a good first step in, I can start then working on the second step, because if I get the good switch in the first one, then it is also hard to switch on the subsequent few steps. And those are all very important. Those are the ones that actually allow me to develop some power from the get-go. And yeah, not really talking much about the upper body work because the main focus of the session was the lower body stuff. And I learned a lot. There is a lot of stuff that I'm not doing right, which is a very good thing. I'm actually happy about that because it means that I have a very large margin for improvement. So let's get on with it. Ciao.